It is time to give in to starting over. I know you've been feeling it. I know you want to start over. I know you're ready for a new life and you just don't know where to begin. And I am here to tell you that you begin by looking at yourself. A lot of my videos will be about you and what you can do to better yourself and have a better life in general. Starting over is a beautiful thing. You do not have to run away from it. You should not run away from it. You will have to start over a lot. That's just the truth. You'll have to start over a couple of times. And I don't really think that it's even starting over. I think that it's just coming to new realizations about your life. And you thought that you wanted one thing, but now your heart wants something different. And you should honor that. And you should appreciate that, there is things in life to grow. It's time. It's always time for growth is basically what I'm trying to say. And the best thing you could do to start over is to sit down with yourself, ask yourself some serious questions, like all the effort that you put into your relationships with people that you love, you deserve that same type of effort. You felt a lot of pain in your life and heartbreak in your life from people who were supposed to love you and they didn't love you correctly. And that's unfortunate, but I'm saying that to say you felt immense amounts of pain and discomfort and sadness because of other people. You're worth that same effort. You're going to break your own heart. You're going to have to break your own heart sometimes to save your soul. You know how people say that? Like, you're going to have to let go of things that you really don't want to let go of. Habits, people. You're going to have to move away from environments. You're going to have to just leave things behind you that you never seen yourself having to walk away from. And that's not always the case, but sometimes it takes for you to really let go of everything. Because I remember when I started my journey of starting over, but really it was just a journey of becoming more of myself, right? What it felt like was I lost everything that I ever knew to be true, right? I lost just so much, and it was a really hard time in my life that I'm very appreciative of now, because it birthed it birthed this version of me. And while it didn't feel good while I was going through it, I just was willing. That's the number one thing that I feel like really got me through a lot of things and helped me to live a better life, is being willing. That word, being willing, changed my life. Genuinely changed my life, because it's I'm willing to take a chance on myself for once. I'm willing to bet on myself. I'm willing to go after the things that I always seemed like they were too high and mighty for me. I'm going to go after them. And all I had was myself and my belief that I could have it. I didn't have anything else. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the support. I didn't have people. It was just me and my belief that got me to where I am, And so I share that with you to say that it's okay to start over, to start again, to release everything that's holding you back. And sometimes it's hard to acknowledge that things are holding us back. Sometimes the hardest thing to acknowledge is that your relationship is not healthy for you, and that it's time to let it go. Even though you love the person so much, they don't do anything but keep you in the dark. They don't do nothing but dim your light, my love. That's all they do. They're just dimming your light. And love is not enough. It's just not. It can't be. Because if love was enough, it'd be enough. But it's not. You need consideration. You need somebody who's going to consider you, who cares about how you feel, that wants to make your life better, that only adds value to your life. That is what matters. Love, I love you, is doing what for you? I don't know who that's for, but I'm yapping. Don't be afraid of yourself. For me, I'll say one of the biggest things that was scary for me was the unknown. Not knowing what my future looked like. Not knowing how I was going to make things happen. Not knowing what next month looked like. Because you keep yourself safe with your plans, when in reality, It doesn't have to go as planned. You know that, right? Like, God can literally shake up your world and be like, you thought. Or in some cases, the devil, right? If that's, negative energy, it can stir you the wrong way too. So plans don't really matter. It's nice to have a I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean. It's like why you plan to feel safe and feel like, okay, if I follow this, then my life will be like this. And while that is a great strategy, there's also so much beauty in the uncertainty of life, the unknown in life. Like, not having it all figured out is beautiful sometimes. Usually all the time. Now that I live so presently in my life, I don't care to have everything all figured out. Because life is not about having everything all figured out. You're never going to have everything all figured out. It's not realistic. But your life can be very beautiful while figuring it out. And I think that's the cheat code. Creating a life for yourself where it's still nice and still abundant, but you're still a human, so you still got some stuff to figure out. But I don't want to yap too much. I just want to really just say, like, you can start over, and you have what it takes to start over. Believe it or not. I am tired of living this life, and I want something new. Well, baby, if you want a new life and you want something new, you got to do something you've never done. You got to go places you've never been. And you are worthy of these spaces and these places. You are worthy of it. Believe it or not. I bet you don't feel worthy, but you are. Because you're you. And you're special in your own way. And you have a very bright light. And everybody else sees your light besides you. We're usually our biggest enemy. Because we know all of our flaws. Like, we really know where we lack. And the things we've gone through in our heads. And the choices that we've made that nobody else knows about. That's why you're so hard on yourself. But those things don't define you. There's so many pieces and parts to you. You know that? There's not just ugly. There's beauty too. Point out some things that are beautiful about yourself. When you're not looking at yourself from such a flawed standpoint. That's why everybody else sees so much in you, because they can only see what you look like and what you put out. And people can feel you too. Right? They feel and see your light even when you don't see it or feel it. So, I don't know who this was for, but God literally sat me down to make sure that I made the video. And I'm just yapping. None of this makes sense to me, but I know that someone needs to hear it. You're enough. You've always been enough. And there was a point in my life where I really needed to hear that from someone. You are enough just as you are. You don't need anything else. Your life is just waiting for you to look at it differently so that you can start to thrive. How do I look at it differently? Choose to think more positively. Choose to be more optimistic about horrible situations. That is where your life is. Your life is in those perspectives. It's in giving yourself grace and understanding that things take time. And you have more control of yourself than you think you do. And when you can control yourself, then that changes your physical reality. Meaning, when you can start to think about the glass half full versus half empty. Meaning, when you start to be more grateful for everything in your life instead of focusing and complaining on what's going wrong, you will have a better life. You literally will attract so much beauty. You will start to freak out at the fact that things are working out for you. People are coming out of nowhere. You realize that, right? Like, you have not met maybe 50% of the people you're going to meet. Why are you stuck on people who just don't appreciate you and don't see you, don't want to see you, aren't showing any efforts to see you, and you're just begging? And I get it. We've all been there. You want to be seen by people who are supposed to be important in your life, but baby, sometimes those people aren't meant to see you. They don't deserve you. Or at least that version of them don't deserve you, because they can grow too, right? We don't always want to make other people the bad guy. Because if you're the victim, it says a lot about you. If you're the victim. And obviously sometimes we are truly victims of things, but if you're always the victim in every single scenario and you're never holding yourself accountable, that says a lot about you. Just as much as you can point the finger at other people, you got to be able to look at what part you played in it. Because you play the biggest part. Because you're writing the story. Believe it or not. You are literally writing the story. Don't let that go over your head, okay? Just think of your life as a movie. You're the director. You're writing the script. You're adding the characters. You're removing the characters. You're creating the scenes. What are you creating? What kind of scenes are you creating? Start thinking about that. Start thinking about the fact that you can literally create your reality. You can create your life to be whatever you want it to be. You have to open your mind and you have to open your heart and you have to trust in the things that you cannot see in order to be able to walk into that life. It is not easy. Anything that I ever say, I know that it is not easy, but it does not mean that you can't do it. You can change your mind. You can work on your mindset. So take a deep breath. And do that about 3 times. See, that done cleared up my brain already because I'm in already such a peaceful place. But do that 3 times and take your time. And just start to have fun with it. What can I create? Damn, did I really create this for myself? Because a lot of times what I think is that, like, these are just my theories too, by the way. We're thrown into this world, right? And a lot of things happen to us that we can't control. But you get to a certain point in your life where you kind of like think about the fact that you can change it, right? You can't necessarily change or control anything outside of you, but you can absolutely change the way that you look at everything. So it's like, if you don't like your current circumstances, whatever you don't like in your life right now, ask yourself, how do I take control and change this for myself? And then just sit there with yourself and allow your thoughts to think, to do what they're meant to do. But I think that the biggest downfall that we have is that we don't even give ourselves a chance in thinking that we can change it. We're waiting for something externally to come into our lives to make it better. And that's where we go wrong. There's nothing going to come in and change, right? Like, you can meet good people and you can meet people who actually love you and care about you. But if you're not doing the inner work, you won't even be able to experience it at its fullest capacity. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how much somebody loves you externally if you don't love yourself enough. Because their love will be good for some time, but you're still going to deal with the things that you're dealing with because you're not choosing to look within. Does that make sense? So ultimately, it starts with you. It does. It starts with you, and you have what it takes. You absolutely do. It doesn't matter where you come from, how much money you have, what your house looks like. Doesn't matter about any of that. In this moment right now, you can literally be like, I don't even know where to start, but like, I want a different life. And I believe, because that is the key, I believe that I can have a different life, even if I don't know where to start. It's the belief that starts to change things, because that's what I've learned too, right? You don't have to know how. You just have to be open to doing things you've never done. You have to be open to doing things you've never done. And you have to be willing. You have to be willing. And then that's when all these new ideas come in. That's when things start sparking in your mind. They start sparking in your spirit. And you trust those things, even if you've never had the thought before, or, you know what I mean? Like, you just got to trust yourself. You got to learn how to trust what your spirit is telling you. Even if it's like the scariest thing ever. Growth is scary. Change is scary. You're never going to be ready. That's not a real thing, because your brain is always trying to protect you. Your brain is always saying, we've never done this before. You cannot do it. You can't do it. You can't. But that's what it's supposed to do. It's to protect you. You can say, brain, we're all right. We're going to still do it. Even though we're scared, we're going to see. Someone's calling me, 1 second. Apologies for that. But yeah, your brain's there to protect you. And let's just start, like, it's okay to fail too, because like, what are you so afraid of in the unknown? That's what you're afraid of. You're afraid of failing. You're already failing. I say that lightheartedly, but you're already failing. You're suffering, doing something you feel is like meant for you and it doesn't feel good. You're failing because you're not trusting yourself. You're not listening to yourself and you're just too scared. The fear ain't ever going nowhere, honey bun. It's going to be with you the whole ride. The fear is going to be there. But take the chance. Take the leap. You miss all the shots you don't take. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to fail and then go back to where you're coming from? What's so bad about that? You seem to be fine with it right now. Even though you're not okay with it, you're fine. You're okay, right? So if you take a leap forward and it doesn't work out, you just come back to this place. But at least you have more knowledge. Right? At least you have more wisdom. At least you have more like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then you'll start taking more leaps. And it's just like literally like a trickle down effect. You'll just keep trying to do new things and realizing I did not have to be that scared. I did not have to sit here and wait for so long thinking that I wasn't ready. No one tells us that though, right? No one tells us that you're never gonna like, you'll probably feel ready a few times in your life, like excited about something. But usually when it's time to take a leap of faith, you get scared and you get stagnant. You're like, oh, I'm not ready yet. But your spirit is ready. Your spirit is trying to tell you, we are ready. What do you mean we're not ready? That's why you keep thinking about it. That's why you're tired of where you are. That's why you're sick of it. That's why it's overwhelming. That's why it's just uncomfortable, because you're ready for something new. That is why. That's why. So if you take anything from what I have said, it's time to start over. Start over. Well, we're going to scratch saying start over, and we're going to say it's time for the next part of your journey, because life is a journey. It's time for the next part of your journey. Trust yourself. Be willing to do the work. It takes work. Everything takes work. What you're doing right now is taking work, but it's taking the wrong kind of work, because you're putting in all types of unnecessary effort for something that's not even serving you anymore. It'd be way better to put in that work towards something that is more promising, which is your future. And you can trust yourself. You can. I know your anxiety or your people who have doubted you your whole life have seeped into your spirit and make you feel like you have to doubt yourself, but you can learn to trust yourself with small little steps by listening to what your heart is telling you. And yeah, you're ready. You're so ready. You've been ready. You see how funny that is? You don't feel ready, but you are ready. I promise you, you can do it. And God is with you the whole way. God is never going to leave your side. If you do not have a relationship with God, I would encourage you to learn how to have an intimate relationship with God. And really all that is opening your heart, because right, your heart is probably hardened right now. It's full of trauma and pain and letdowns and misery and all of those things, right? But if you just soften your heart just a little bit for God to come in and say, God, I need your help. God, I need you. I need you to intervene in my life. I allow you in my life. I trust you, God. I can learn how to trust in the things that I cannot see, if it means that the life that you have prepared for me is on the other side of it. Because God wants you to live an abundant life. God wants you to live a beautiful life that you truly do deserve. You have went through enough. It is time to walk into the better part of your life and allow God to guide you and lead you. And how you do that, you open up your heart. You get into your word, you start reading scriptures, learning his word, learning who God is. And I promise you, your life will be amazing. It will truly, truly, truly be so amazing, and you will be in awe. You'll be in awe because God can do exceedingly and abundantly better than anything you could ever ask or imagine. God has so much bigger plans for you. God's plans are way bigger and way better than your plans could ever be. And it doesn't mean, because I used to think that, well, if I give my heart to God and if I follow God's plan, then that means I have to change who I am and I have to change my life and I have to change what I listen to. I got to change what I wear. I got to change this. And then you start to get further away from God, but that's not the truth. You allow God into your heart and into your life for peace, for love, for unconditional love that you want so badly from other people. God can help you fulfill that feeling for yourself. God can give you that. God can give you strength. God can give you hope. God can give you whatever your heart is desiring, and especially give it to you 10 times more if it's in alignment with His will for your life. But the amazing thing about that is the more that you pray to God and the more that you work on your relationship with God, meaning just consulting God, talking to God, trusting God, the more that you lean into that, your ideas and your plans will align with His purpose for your life. And next thing you know, you will live an amazing life. So when I say that it starts with you, understand that it starts with you, but it always starts with God, right? Because you're not God, but God. How to explain this for people? You are not God, but God is in you, even when you don't acknowledge God, right? God created you. God knows you. God is just waiting for you to acknowledge Him and say, okay, I'm ready to live the better part of my life, God. I'm ready to let go of all of these things that are not meant for me. And I'm ready to walk into what you have for me. I'm telling you, pure bliss. Pure bliss, pure sky with the clouds behind you. I said that because, but I'm only an example of what God can do, what God does do, what God continues to do. So tap in with yourself, get closer to God, and trust that you were meant for more. I love you.